Tell me whenever y'all ready. My money keep me warm, man.
Ding, ding, ding.
Road to remember on the road to victory here. The rider, Kendrick Carmouche.
Peace.
You find us on Leading the Way with Kendrick Carmouche, fresh off the winner we've just seen you ride on Road to Remember.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Josh. You know, it's a road to remember, right? The road started in Louisiana. You know, my dad was a jockey. I wanted to do just as much as he done and made just as much people excited about the game and happy towards the game as we can get. So that was my thing in life. I thought God gave me a talent, so let me see how far I can take it and how much things I can achieve along the way.
And let's go back then. So your dad was a jockey. Was your granddad a jockey? How did the Carmouche family come into horse racing? My
granddad wasn't a jockey, but he always had horses for my dad to ride, and that's the way it all triggered things down. And my dad had a horse named Trigger, and he was like the best horse around the little Karen Crow tracks and Lafayette tracks, run up gravel roads, you know. So as time passed and my dad started getting into horse racing, my grandfather pushed him a little bit harder to ride and always was there for him. And my dad never could get out of Louisiana, and he traveled a couple states, but he always done good. So I always felt like, you know, I'm gonna be the next step up from him, you know, and that's what he wanted. He wanted me to be the next star of the family and keep it pushing with riding. And, you know, I think I succeed those goals for not only my mom, my dad, my brothers and sisters, but my family and all the fans in Louisiana that pushed me to get to this point.
So in the UK, we call it apprenticeships, but we call them bug riders over here in America. Look at me getting all American.
Yeah.
Talk me through your bug career.
You know, I was in Louisiana. I started at Delta Downs. I rode a couple races there. The stewards knew I was ready and prepared because of my dad bringing me up throughout the rinks. And whenever I was 10, 11 years old, by the time I reached 16, I was ready to ride. I mean, I started at Delta Downs. I moved to the Old Evangeline. My mom was my agent. My mom and dad was very supportive. I'm the baby of the family, so, you know, they just kept me pushing, kept giving me positive words. I had to gibber for jabber, you know. My dad taught me very well, you know. Respect comes a long way in life, and once you establish that around your atmosphere, things go forward for you, and that's what I always believed in, you know.
And this transfer from bug rider into full pro, the sort of move away from the family gathering, it must have been a big move.
Well, I tell you, man, at 16 years old, leaving your parents' house, you know, you're not a grown person, you know. I want everybody to know that as young kids, you know, you got to stay with parents, let them nurse you along to where they feel like, you know, you ready to leave, you know. My parents did that until I was 16, but I had to figure my way out from there. And I say I've done a good job with a lot of lovable people behind me, pushing me the right way, keeping me on task, keeping me in hand. But I would just love to say thank you because, you know, if it wouldn't be for those people, and the love that they gave me, I wouldn't be here. You know, when you're an apprentice rider, you gotta ride as much as you can to learn your craft. Once you learn your craft, now you gotta put the craft to the horse craft. And the best thing my dad ever taught me was don't get in the way of the horse. The horse gonna guide you. The horse gonna let you know when you got horse and when you ain't got horse. Once you learn that as a jockey, you can become anything. You just gotta get the horse to apply it.
In 2021, Kendrick found that horse in the shape of the Todd Pletcher-trained Bubonic.
And here's Bubonic, who was last, making a late run out in the middle of the track. And Bubonic got there under Kendrick Carmouche.
Bubonic's victory in the Grade 1 Wood Memorial guaranteed the pair a place in the starting lineup for the Kentucky Derby, where his participation shone a light on the rich history of African-American jockeys in the Run for the Roses.
Kendrick Carmouche, he's the first black jockey in the Derby since 2013. Black jockeys won 15 of the first 28 Derbies before racism and segregation became prevalent, and he hopes to ensure those pioneers are remembered anew.
They paved the way and they kind of like, you know, got pushed out of the game, seems like to me, with the eyes that I'm opening. I think I'm rewriting history. I think this is what I'm here for.
The 20 Bourbonic, ridden by Kendrick Carmouche, the first black jockey in the Kentucky Derby since 2013.
This landmark added to the legacy of black jockeys in American horse racing, a past which is celebrated by the Black Heritage in Racing collection, housed in the Kentucky Derby Museum at Churchill Downs.
For our new Black Heritage in Racing exhibit, we have images of many black horsemen, folks in the industry, going back to the earliest derbies up until recent days. Many of these figures are larger than life, and we really felt they needed a large representation here in our exhibits at the museum. So as you're following through the exhibit, you'll learn about early years of the Kentucky Derby. You'll learn about racing in Kentucky before the Kentucky Derby even was created. You'll learn about the reasons that many black jockeys left due to segregation and Jim Crow. And then we'll move on into the present day. You'll learn about owners and trainers and jockeys that were in the mid-20th century. A lot of great stories and a lot of people that have done a lot for the industry.
When the Derby first got started, black folk not only participated, we dominated. Our legacy is one deserving of respect.
We also have a performance called Proud of My Calling, where through actors some of these characters come to life, like Ansel Williamson, trainer of Aristides, the very first Derby winner, Isaac Murphy, the great jockey who was the first to win 3 Kentucky Derbies, and also Jimmy Winkfield, who was the most recent black jockey to win the Kentucky Derby in 1902.
Another figure honoured in the exhibition is Will Harbert, groom of the top-class Man o' War. His great-grandson Greg inherited his forefather's love of the thoroughbred, and is now bringing more diversity into the industry through the creation of the Ed Brown Society.
The Ed Brown Society culminated from a group of individuals who are involved in Living the Dream stables. We really put an emphasis on bringing more minorities into the ownership component. And once we got those individuals involved in racing, a lot of those owners really began to ask the questions, where are more minorities in the workplace in horse racing? So that's really where that culminated from. I wish more people knew the direct history that African Americans have contributed to racing. As we begin to tell that story, we're seeing more people come back home. And as we begin to get new people in, they say, you know, I had a relative that was involved in racing or involved in the stud farm. So to hear that rich history being told, to see what the Kentucky Derby Museum is doing as far as opening up a total wing to the African Americans has been very rewarding.
I think all those jockeys that was before me, I gotta make it right for them to stay visual and stay talking about it, because I feel like, you know, they can have more of us, but they're not really into the sport of kings.
Absolutely. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And there is a responsibility there in terms of getting out and the kids and the next generation coming through going, Kendrick's done it, that's an opportunity for me.
Yes, and you know, I always say, have an open mind. Talk to anyone and everyone to make yourself a better person, to establish yourself in this game. And I think I've done that very well along all trainers, all owners, all jockeys. I get along with everybody because, you know, that's who I am. So I feel like that's the main key for my people. All right, go ahead, sis, lead the way. You really have to grow as a man to endure this career, because it's a lot of up and downs. It's never a full, yes, I'm a winner. Once you believe yourself as a winner, things come a lot easier. I'm very comfortable where I'm at right now, and I'm very pleased at the road that I took to get to this point. It wasn't easy, but mentally and physically, I made it, you know. I feel like for all my people in Louisiana and the people around the country, and my mom, my dad, I feel like, you know, they see me on TV and they proud of me, and that means more to me than anything. I see my kids always smiling like, Dad, you win another race. My wife always cheering, you know, so I love what I do, you know. Once you find something that you love, you gotta take it at hand and run with it, because it's just a lot of enjoyment. It make you feel good. You can skip a day without winning, but you know you got a chance the next day.